Hi, Doug.
Hey,
How's weather in Japan?
thankfully the heat of the summer is starting to fade away, so we're moving into the fall.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. It's an honor to speak with you, with your background as a former VP of Warner Brothers and your deep expertise in Japanese films. Your perspective is incredibly valuable. We are especially excited to discuss the current culture moment and your film festival that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we have a film festival from October 3rd to 5th, and like you just said, there's never been a better time to be in the Asian cinema than now.
Of course. And I have to start with this question. K-pop demon hunters. Let's think about the scenario. You're back in a Monday morning executive meeting at Warner Brothers. K-pop Demon Hunters, a film your studio didn't produce, is #1 movie in the world on Netflix. What's your conversation in the room? And what are the immediate action items on the table?
So, in case I don't know if you knew this or not, but actually Warner Brothers theatrical executives are literally required to go see 3 or 4 movies every weekend. Now, it sounds like a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of work, right? Because you're supposed to go to the theater and see the film, right? Because you need to kind of understand the audience reactions. That's 52 weekends a year, right? And not every film is great either. So it's not, again, it sounds like a fun job, but at the end of the day, it's a job. But regardless, that's true. Like they are required to go see films. So something like K-pop Demon Hunters, I'm sure they have seen twice, right? They probably saw it on Netflix. They may or may not have seen it before it kind of became, a viral or popular. But once it became popular, 100% they saw it, and 150% they went to the theaters to go see it. So they would be well versed in the success of K-pop Demon Hunters and probably quite jealous.
Wow. Were there any action items that you feel like you would be discussing at the table?
Yeah, they'd be, discussing, well, depending on the day, there might be some blame storming. Why didn't we do this? Didn't we have the chance of, picking up this license 3 years ago? Why was it Sony? There could have been some of that, but probably not really. At the end of the day, it'd be like they would ask, very, kind of expected questions like, what are the learnings? What could we do? What do we have coming up, immediately that we could kind of capture on the same, marketing success of this? And what's, let's say 4 or 5 years down the road that we could also learn from this. So they probably look at it two ways, in the short term and in the long term.
But this is an animated film about Korean idol group, which seems random or too niche, in my opinion. Yet it became #1 hit. What do you think the conventional evaluation process has missed, and what did Netflix see that the major studios didn't? Or do you think that this is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what a global audience wants in 2025?
Okay, I'll take your middle question first. What did Netflix see? Not sure what they saw. They may have gotten lucky. So there's this phrase in Hollywood, nobody knows, right? And every time you think you know 100% what's going to be a hit, you're wrong. Every time you think 100% this will not be a hit, it can become a hit. I'm not sure Netflix knew this would be a big hit. They probably had an idea because they actually, spent some money on it and financed it. But did they know it was going to be the #1 movie in the world? I really doubt it. At the same time, what is true over the last few years in film is that, the big hits have all had, real social media viral moments. But all these like big hits, and particularly the unexpected hits, have had some kind of virality that's gone on social media. So I can guarantee you that is something that they're really digging heavy in. What can we make viral in the next, in our movie slate in the next, 4 or 5 movies? For
Oh,
sure, they're doing that.
okay. So with that said, as a VP of Warner Brothers, would you have, if you were handed the keys to the K-pop Demon Hunters IP today, what would be your 3-year plan to build it into a global franchise beyond creating a sequel?
Well, no, I'm still going to answer that last part first. I would be trying to create that sequel as soon as possible, right?
Of course.
Because you want to capture on the awareness. So in movies, there's a reason why there's so many sequels, and the main reason is there's pre-awareness, right? So in a crowded media landscape, creating awareness of something that isn't known at all, I mean, is brutal, absolutely brutal with, you're fighting TikTok, you're fighting YouTube, you're fighting Instagram Reels, you're fighting Spotify, you're fighting so many things just to get awareness. So when you have something like K-pop Demon Hunters that has awareness, you got to capitalize on that really, really fast. So, again, answering the part you told me not to answer, you'd be wanting to make the sequel as soon as possible. But then you'd be looking at all those other, revenue streams that you could, potentially capitalize on. That also becomes tricky because you don't want to do anything, too tacky, too off-brand, but yet you're very tempted because, the awareness is out there. So that becomes a kind of a tricky balancing act.
I see. I just remember that you were also an executive at Walmart. So I think
Yeah.
that kind of answers a bit of your
Yes.
question. All right. I know you're a Japanese film expert as well. Japanese anime has its century-old ecosystem of manga and production communities, whereas Korea's engine seems to be a powerful blend of webtoon and K-pop industry. What are the key structural strengths you see in Korea's creative ecosystem that enabled this breakout?
I think I can answer that with one word, and I think it would be intention. I think, from the Korean side, there was a very specific intention on, going after the entertainment business, going after content, using that as a form of soft power. And I think the history of that probably goes back 15, 16, 17 years. And a lot of investment and coordination has been put against that intention. So I think that's, the biggest difference. Whereas, Japanese, in particular anime, it's been around for, almost 100 years, but, specifically in the US for probably around 60. It's somewhat been successful accidentally and, with stops and starts, where, Korea has kind of taken over the world by storm in 15 years. So that timeline has been more compressed. And with a compressed timeline like that, you don't get that by accident. There had to be intention behind it, which I think Korea did, and they did a very good job.
Do you think social media has a lot of influence in that intention
Oh,
as well?
absolutely. The guys managing, the BTS army, they are, social media experts. You go to the top of the mountain to find the gurus of social media. The BTS army guys, they're sitting there because they did and still do a fantastic job managing the social media.
Okay, I do agree with you. But before the K-pop Demon Hunters, there was Parasite, and there was Minari too. What did Parasite's success really change, do you think? Because I remember when the director Bong Joon-ho mentioned breaking the 1-inch subtitle barrier.
Yeah.
I think it fundamentally altered Hollywood studios calculate the financial viability and creative potential of foreign language films, especially Asian films.
I think, even today, 2025, there are still, let's say people and executives in LA and Hollywood who really, don't see the potential of foreign films, don't see the potential of Japanese anime, et cetera, et cetera. Why do I know this? Because I talk to them. And it shocks me that these executives in LA that I meet, and I'm like, did you know the Anime Expo happened last weekend? And they're like, what's that? I'm like, it's literally the biggest convention in LA, bar none, 400,000 people. Oh, they're just anime geeks. Okay, that's a lot of money. Like, it still shocks me that they don't care about this $100 million event that happens in LA, but they're still there. So they're still there, I think regarding Asian entertainment as well. But that's not everybody, so there are many who do recognize it. So I think, when Parasite won the Oscar, it validated some things in Hollywood with executives, but not everything. The 1-inch wall of subtitles, he made the comment. I don't think Parasite was the vehicle that beat the 1-inch wall of subtitles. It's just an example of it. The subtitles are being beaten over, 15 years of YouTube, right?
Right.
So, my son is 18, he's Gen Z, right? He's a digital native. Digital natives have been watching things with subtitles their entire lives. It's no big deal, right? It's no big deal. But, when Parasite wins and he goes up there on the stage and, there's a bunch of, 60 plus people around the world watching, that might have been news to them, but it wasn't news to a lot of people. And I think it's the same thing with Asian content. Asian content has been, growing in popularity around the world again for, many, many, many years. Parasite, I think, really just kind of validated it.
This kind of brings to your festival, the Global Stage Hollywood. I know it has a strong identity built around Japanese films, but you are including a Korean film this year, right?
Yes, we are. For the first time.
Yeah, I know. Was there any catalyst, a specific catalyst that made you say, like, this is the year, or it has to be this title? Like, why now? Why this title?
The funny thing about the entertainment business is, every title and every property is really its own little universe, right? But I can tell you, because I've done this for 7 years, at the end of the day, it's really super opportunistic to grab a title, to grab the talent when everybody's all available at the same time. right? So quite frankly, we looked at a Korean title last year and it fell through for a number of reasons, but that's another story. It should have been last year, but anyway, it's this year. But a bunch of things in the universe have to be aligned to bring any title over with talent, and they aligned this year. But we've been trying to bring a Korean title for a few years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Probably
it's
wasn't the answer you
finally
wanted, but that's the truth, right? It's very opportunistic because the timing has to work for everybody, and it's not easy.
So it seems like you were trying hard to obtain Korean title. What's the future of the Korean film that you see that would be screening on Hollywood, just moving forward?
So our film festival is called Global Stage Hollywood. The idea behind it is that we will bring, diverse films from all over the world in Hollywood and kind of share audiences. Because of, our experience and our Rolodex, we're usually pretty heavy on Japanese films. But, we have brought in films from Israel, Lithuania, Canada, US, Taiwan, etc. And with those, we often partner with the consulates in LA and, brought a new audience, to kind of share audiences. So we have a Japanese stuff is kind of the anchor, but maybe one year we bring in Israeli audience or Israeli film fans with the Japanese fans, etc. We've been trying to bring in Korea for a number of years. We want to kind of expand on this, friendship between Korea and Japan, which is absolutely booming with people below 35. Let's be honest. They have
Gen Z?
they are
Yeah.
they are very good friends. So we've been working on this, but this film came up. Like I said, we've been working with this partner for a couple of years, but this year it worked out. It's a co-production between Korea and Italy. So this perks up my ears, like, oh, we can bring in two new friends to Global Stage Hollywood. So not just Korea, but we can bring in maybe some people who are from the Italian consulate and mix them in with our Japanese crowd. So that is one really interesting thing to us. We also always have a panel. Because I think panels are, the main reason why people will actually make the drive to Hollywood to see a film in person, because the panels are quite interesting. And we will have some experts on doing co-productions around the world and also film subsidies, because that's a big deal. So we will have a couple experts along with the talent from the film, speaking about that on the stage in Hollywood. So we're quite excited about it.
Wonderful. I know you're an executive producer as well. Do you feel that a blockbuster success like K-pop Demon Hunters actually make a curator's job harder, or does it open the door for more diverse Korean films or Asian films?
Well, it doesn't make my job any harder or any easier. Obviously we would like to, the trick for us, and it's not easy, would be to have grabbed K-pop Demon Hunters before it was famous, right? And then, wow, our film festival would be wonderful. That's always kind of the dream of a film festival producer, is your festival is what made something famous. And, Sundance was that place for many films back in the day. It gets harder, and it's much harder now because the streamers basically have bought everything. So it's really tough to find that hidden gem. Not impossible, but it's tougher. But regardless, I think the fact that some relatively unknown film becomes hugely successful is great for our festival, because at the end of the day, we are indies. We're not a vehicle to show, a big studio film. We're a vehicle to show indies. And anytime a smaller film becomes successful, it helps us.
So what is the core mission of Global Stage Hollywood? And for the next generation filmmakers who are watching, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give them about evolving relationship between Asia cinema and Hollywood?
I think the single biggest piece of advice I would give them is, particularly in this moment we're in now in entertainment, you better be flexible, you better be ready to pivot, and you better be nimble. And there's really two levels of movies nowadays, right? The big huge guys, which require a massive budget, and then the small guys, right? The middle is really difficult. So if you're an up and coming filmmaker, I think, hey, it'd be wonderful if Warner Brothers took you on and gave you $200 million to make your movie, but good luck with that. But on the other hand, there's so many people making movies through crowdfunding, Web3, blockchain, and all these, new, we're not even talking about AI at the moment, but all these new distribution tools that, make it easier for an indie hit to, kind of get out there in the wild. Making money, that's always a struggle. It always has been a struggle. Getting things done, there's never been more tools available than there are now.
So your film festival is coming up in October. Do you want to tell us a bit about that so that our audience can go and watch?
Sure. So we will have our film festival at the world famous Chinese Theater. So here we are having, a film festival, a global film festival at the Hollywood Boulevard. You can see the stars on the sidewalk, the Hollywood signs behind you at the famous Chinese theater. Not such a big deal to people from LA, but we get so many guests and visitors from overseas. It's a big deal. They really like it. So they come to the theater, they go down the boulevard, they take pictures of themselves with the stars on the sidewalk. They take pictures of the Hollywood sign. They really enjoy it. And then the Chinese theater is actually one of our sponsors, so we have a backdrop and red carpet with Chinese theater behind it. People like it. So that's available to anybody who comes. We will show a bunch of films. They're all on Eventbrite. If you look up Global Stage Hollywood on Eventbrite. But some standouts are, number one, like this Korean film. It's called Florence Knocking on You. The poster will say Firenze, which is just Florence in Italian, but that one's really cool. It's filmed in Florence, Italy, so it's got beautiful Italian backdrop. The talent Min Jung Kim, he's a pretty famous guy in Korea. He is coming along with the director and some of the producers behind the film, so you can meet him and see him in person. He'll be on a red carpet. You can take pictures. You can also take pictures of yourself on a red carpet. Wow. So I think that'll be pretty cool. We have 2 world premieres of Japanese anime. One has been announced. It's Tatsuki Fujimoto, 17 by 26. He is the creator behind Chainsaw Man and Look Back. He made a bunch of short stories when he was younger, and those have now been made into anime. And we just announced it yesterday, and quite frankly, we've already sold out 1/3 of the tickets in one day.
Wow!
So that one's on fire. So if anybody likes anime and they want to come to a world premiere, I guarantee you there'll be lots of cosplayers. There'll be a really nice atmosphere. You better hurry up and buy tickets because that one's going well. We have another anime world premiere not yet announced, but it's coming. We have another film called Killer Goldfish. It's kind of a campy horror film. The director's coming, Yoshihiko Tsutsumi. He's a pretty famous guy. He'll be there to speak. The film is pretty cool, but what's also cool is he will be there to talk, and the producer will be talking about the financing. And they basically finance that through crowdfunding. So, if you're a young filmmaker and you want to figure out, how you can make it in the world, here you have the chance to talk. The producer speaks English too, very well. You can come to and he'll talk to anybody. You can come to the film, watch the movie, then literally ask the director and the producer how it was made and how it was financed. It's all fine and dandy to ask a director how it was made, and that's great. But without the money, there's nothing, right? So for me, the opportunity to talk to them how they raised the money to make this movie, that is gold. Those are some of the highlights of our festival.
Right. I think that would be a great information session for our young filmmakers who are just trying really hard to make it happen. That information, and thank you for the opportunity. I believe that film, the title of the film, Korean film that you're including this festival is called Firenze in Korean, right?
Well, in Korean, I don't know. In Italian, it's called Firenze, which is just Florence. Yeah. In English, the title is Florence Knocking on You. But perhaps you have a better Korean pronunciation than I do.
Right.
So
I'll just pronounce it for you. Firenze,
okay.
And it's with Kim Min-jong and Harry in that movie as well. So I'm actually looking forward to that.
Cool. Well, we look forward to having you at our festival, Jeannie.
Yeah, thank you, Douglas. That's all the time we have. Thank you again for sharing such incredible insights, and we wish you the best with your festival this October.
Well, thank you, and we look forward to see all the viewers of your podcast at our festival next month.
Yes, thank you.
영상 설명란과 고정 댓글에 적힌 주소에 접속한 후 코드를 입력하시면 글로벌 스테이지 할리우드 티켓을 드립니다. 1인당 2매씩 들기 위해서 선착순 15명 한정으로 진행을 하니 빨리 접속해주세요.